Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. Happy Halloween, everyone. Hope everyone's going to have a marvelous, spooky Halloween. For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Laura, and I'm going to do a journal message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play it as karmic themes to help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is, so that you can see how you are contributing to the imbalances within the connection and what you can do to actually shape shift the energy. If there's many different realities that play out at one time, why would you choose to stay stuck in a lower vibration? Well, we wouldn't volunteer, obviously. The universe brings us people, situations, and experiences that are going to change our mind and our heart. However, we tend to get stuck in certain karmic themes because the original trauma formed habits and behaviorisms. We formed habits and behaviorisms due to that original trauma. And the way that we learned how to survive is going to block us from thriving. See, you're the alchemist of your life. There's many different realities that play out. So you get to choose the reality that you want by quantum jumping into the reality that you want to experience. And that might sound a lot easier said than done, but when we break down actually what's happening within your connection, you can actually see that it's not as hard as you think. All right, let's see what the underlining energy is. The underlining energy is always on the first two cards that I pull out. It's the underlining energy that tells us why everyone does what they do. Very important when you're dealing with a person that wears masks, create facades, illusions, wants you to think something. So we're going to pull two, one from this deck and one from this deck. The cards out were intuition and physical touch. So I'm feeling like you have a very strong intuitive connection with someone, ESP through the heart and mind. So there is a very strong emotional bond. However, this person didn't give you anything, nothing on a physical level. No, no real time, no emotional support. Just, again, if anything, it was lacking. So this is exact opposite energy. Like you felt that this person had a connection to you, but they weren't giving you anything. And I have a feeling that's the recurring karmic theme, that you attract people that emotionally don't give to you, you know? So we're going to look and see first what this person did. Bluff. Well, it says here you called their bluff, and it was really satisfying. So even though that this was a spiritual connection, you still let go. This person obviously didn't think that you would, even after they ignored you. You felt like you weren't being heard, that your feelings and your needs weren't being heard. And what happened is that you pulled their bluff because it became like unbearable. It hurt because you're saying, hey, this person and I have this very strong connection. I can tell intuitively that they have feelings, but I also intuitively can tell that they're deliberately doing things to get underneath my skin, to make me angry. This is where you were. And you were like, and they ignored me, and after a while it hurts. Because why would I want to stay connected to someone that should love me, that I can feel has feelings, but instead of them being kind to me, they're going to be nasty. They're going to ignore me. They're going to act as if I'm insignificant, you know, and what you felt like is over time, you just felt like you didn't belong in this person's world. You felt displaced, that you didn't belong in this person's world, because if you were going to stay around them, you would have to be in a relationship that was really unfair. Like, and the more time that you would actually give this person, the more comfortable they would be to be unfair. And so your expectations never were met because all this person would do was gaslight. With gaslight, say one thing, do another, just the same as say one thing, feel another. So almost like you couldn't trust yourself. And the moment that you would say something, this person just would withdraw and you felt like powerless in the relationship because you're taking my energy. You're not giving anything to me. So unless I go along with the breadcrumbs and go along with this nasty behavior, well, you're going to withdraw from me. You're not really going to, it's not a real relationship. It's an abusive relationship. Well, let's look up from a spiritual perspective. Try and go a little bit deeper to see what this person felt or what was going on. Well, they're seeing synchronicities like your name, 111, and trying to work out what they mean. So there's still a spiritual connection, an intuitive connection, regardless that this person tried to like destroy the connection. Thing is, they're seeing that they can't destroy the connection. And the thing is, they feel you pulling away and it's triggering their fears, like you're going to leave them for good. So even though this person did a lot of things to get underneath your skin, they never thought that you would disconnect. You called their bluff, but it's like now you're really walking away. Now it's scaring them because there was a sense that you were always going to take it. You were always going to be there. Like that love that you had for them would never break, that it couldn't break because they've never felt love like this before. The depths of it can be inspiring, but just overwhelming. So again, they didn't believe that this connection could ever break. They took it for granted and they feel abandoned. They often feel like other people let them down. The irony is that this what this person did. So it's almost like they were afraid to get close to you because of the depth of the relationship were really like, wow, inspiring where they could lose themselves. And then what would happen is it's like they said, wow, this connection is great. And they wanted to get close, but then it triggered all their insecurities. So, which again, people have abandoned them from their perception of maybe their limitations when meanwhile this person never even gave this connection a chance. When they let themselves go deeper into thoughts of you, they can feel their heart opening. Well, obviously, you represent love and this person has blocks. Clear the illusions of the 3D world. Don't take everything at face value. There's a lot more going on spiritually and energetically than you can see. So even though this person is still in separation from you, you're triggering them because, again, they feel you finally saying that's enough. Um, like they're being forced to heal. Like they're not showing you anything, but they're reflecting on their behavior. They're reflecting on how you were, trying to see what they want. There's a lot going on internally. Doesn't mean that this person knows how to react on what's happening internally. I feel like that'll come. They're tired of being away from you physically and they're trying to process their fear so that they can come back to you. And fears that would be being, intimate in a way where they have to be transparent. They have to tell you what their feelings are. They have to say how they feel about you, which this person has never done, because again, that's how we started. This represents emotional to me, not just physical touch. And so again, the connection's strong, but no emotional connection, no nurturing, none of that. This person would have to come back and they would have to admit their feelings. They would have to admit to like why they did what they did, give you a reason, and they would have to put in effort to change. And so, that's the fear that you can still reject them, you know? And what will that look like? They're going to have to shatter that ego, and that's really the issue here. And this person doesn't really want to shatter the ego. Their inner child is here crying out right now, and they really need to reparent them. And so your inner child is also healing if you're connected to this person. You got to be getting triggered because, like I said, this person didn't act right, and now you're finally ready to walk away. Now they want to come back. Now they want to come back. So again, they don't have a choice because what they feel is you pulling away and you're going to leave them for good because they haven't given you anything. They look for you everywhere. That's the thing. They look for you everywhere. They're actually looking for a way out of the situation that they're in. So they might even be connected to somebody else or just in a situation that they know that you will not want to be a part of. So they might even live at home with their parents. They could be, again, it could be anything. But this person's not whole within themselves, which explains a lot of why this person would definitely not want you that close to see. This person says, please don't give up on me. I'm trying to change, but it takes time. And this person didn't even try to change until now. And that's because, you called their bluff. You're finally moving away. They know that they need to release attachments with karmic people. They're creating a plan to leave him or her. So this person can be connected to somebody, doesn't necessarily mean like it's an ex, but it could be like a parent, it could be a sister, it could be a brother, it could be a friend, but most likely it is a karmic, somebody that the relationship's been over for a long time. Is that this person just has chosen not to live. They've chosen to live detached, disassociated. They've compromised their life. Maybe they went halvies on the rent, you know, where it's like they were comfortable living that way, even though it was imbalanced. But no one would want to be in a connection with this person the way that they're living. So again, it's forcing them to change and learn to be uncomfortable because if there's in a relationship with a karmic, though there's no love there, it prevents this person from actually having a relationship where really they might need to get another job. They might need to, work on their finances a little bit. That this person needs healing in other areas of their life. Again, why they wouldn't let you get that close. So you can see where the fragmentation is and then why this person acted childish. Again, your hearts are connected. They feel like, that they can feel that connection. They have to take a moment to close your eyes and feel that connection. They do, and that's the thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't want to do it. Trust me, they wouldn't. They want to let their guard down with you, but fear makes them lash out and self-control. So, and this person's afraid. We keep seeing that. Expand your concept of what a twin flame is. It's more of a romance. It's a deep soul activation to heal in order to embody love and light. So this suggests that this is a soulmate twin connection, that this person's in separation from you. They were living out of balance, but comfortably uncomfortable. So could have been living with, like I said, a karmic, but there was no love there anymore. But, you know, in order for this person to really have a balanced life, which is let me go out and meet somebody and and have my emotional fulfillment fulfilled not just within the relationship, but in other areas of my life. This person, I feel like, didn't have a good job, was struggling financially, so they chose to stay where they were and just they got comfortable and they stayed that way. But people don't want to be in a relationship with a person that's connected to somebody else regardless. So really, the twin flame connection is really that people don't move unless there's love, right? Love is the catalyst. They're changing this pattern and they're moving forward. They do and understand that it's not that they're 100% healed because they're not. They feel like they don't deserve your love and they're worried that you're going to leave them when you see who they really are, which is the reason why they never really let you get that close to begin with because they were living out of balance. There was no love. They were there. You're not going to believe that. And you might say, well, you might not have love, but the person that you're living with, has some feeling. Like there's some weird imbalance there where you're saving money and you're chalking it up, to how it's benefiting you, but it's preventing you from moving on with your life. So I think that this person also feels inadequate because of that relationship that didn't work out. And so just staying connected to all of that is karmic, meaning learn the lesson and move forward. They can't move forward. They can't even, couldn't even let you get in that close because if you would have seen it all, you would have been like, I'm not going to be connected to you. But they have to want to believe that they're deserving of it. They've got to want it. Where I don't think that they've ever wanted it. And the irony is that there was this very strong intuitive connection, ESP, through the heart and mind, where, hey, there was an emotional connection without this person even giving anything. But that's what terrified them. That's what was so inspiring, but terrifying. Because it's like, hey, you knew. So Spirit says next solstice equinox is going to bring great important shift for you. And what they've realized is again they've given away their power to people that they don't really want to do that, and they're learning to set important boundaries. Maybe again not to get rid of that person as a friend if they wound up becoming friends, but that is imbalanced of some sort, and because of that, they need to they need to get balanced within their life and do what they have to do for themselves. Words have hurt them in the past, and that's why they fear talking to you again, like you're going to abandon them. As twin flames, we are here to extend. So again, like this is suggesting again that you both are twin flames, and this person, and you're seeing all these spiritual blockages that this person has, that you pretty much came into this person's life. You awaken them to how they were living. They they knew you would never like it, like want to be with someone like them because you don't live that way. They admire how you live. So you're making a lot of internal changes. You're having this person alchemize, and where you're both your own alchemists of your own life, and that you transform fear into light and shadow into light. And that's pretty much what this connection did. But it's not that this person was like, oh, yeah, you know, I'm like so able to like do it. No, what you see is they can't validate your love in the 3D until they understand the spiritual love in the 5D, which they're never really going to understand the logic, trying logic. That's what they're trying to do. And that's the survival mind. That's the reptilian mind. It's like, I believe that this relationship is too good to be true. You're going to leave me when you really see who I am. This is like not some magic connection. However, it feels magic because the depth of it is so inspiring. It's so real, but it's so overstimulated. It makes this person like, again, can't get out of their own way. Like for everything good, they look at something like negative. And so again, they need time to explore the aspects so that they can be a strong spiritual partner for you, but understand they're going to give it time and that it's not going to really do anything because they don't know. All they know is because of you, they're starting to see what is really important in their life, and they're willing to sweep you off your feet and shower you with love. However, they're conflicted about whether they have what it takes to be your partner, and we keep getting that. Like, so this person has kind of put you on a pedestal. They think like, you're going to be with me, you're not going to like what you see, and you're going to leave me. So, I mean, they're terrified of that. That's like their greatest fear. So, thing is that they're going to contact you, when they're able to. Right now, they feel like things are complicated in their life, especially if they're trying to make changes in their life. And Spirit just says that they've watched you grow and change so much, and they're trying to release their attachments to identity so that they can change too. They have a poor connection to who they are, and that you show up in their dreams, and it helps them process buried memories. So it's almost like this connection has made this person. But of course, it's as soon as you're over it, like you're like, I'm not really wanting this because you didn't really give anything, but this person just was like, again, they weren't doing it for themselves. That's what we have to look at here because we keep seeing that they don't feel that they're good enough. But what they're acting like is that they aren't because they don't put time into doing it for themselves. What's making them change is you. It's again because there's a lot of like sexual chemistry, but it still needs to be elevated to the energy of unconditional love. It's not at the energy of unconditional love. Again, but that's what you guys are supposed to do to alchemize the negative energy. However, this person, like I said, really has problems to their like to how they perceive themselves. And that's why twin flame journey is not an easy journey. It's an on again, off again, a lot of healings done in separation. We've been seeing that lately. We've been seeing this karmic theme, with a twin flame has wanted to come back, you know, we're going to pull like three more. We're going to look up the blocks again. Yes, this is to help transform love blocks. This again to dismantle hidden barriers, to the intimacy and to trust. So that this is a twin flame connection. We may not like what it looks like because hell, it's usually very turbulent, and that's because there's a lot of blocks. That this person has a lot of blocks. They didn't want to volunteer, you know, but I feel like what happened is that due to your disconnection and where they are within their life, they're not really satisfied. They weren't satisfied before, you know. You coming into their life makes them even more dissatisfied because it makes them look at their life. And it's all about them dismantling, the outdated ways of being, really to get a fresh start, a new perspective, which they wouldn't have done unless you came into their life. Unfortunately, this person, they waited like a long time, I feel like, to do anything because, hey, they weren't going to do anything. Um, so we have to say, well, what are they doing now? Right now, as they speak, and right now, what we saw is they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to like figure out this connection, but let's see how it's triggering them. We saw love blocks. Well, what's going to make them come back is again that they're going to get really jealous because it's like you're not coming for them. So that's the thing. And this person begins to get really paranoid, like you're going to meet someone else. So that's what it is because what they're seeing is so much time has gone by. They wasted a lot of time. So, at this point, that's what's triggering their trauma. So even though they might have been lazy before, um, it's almost like it wasn't lazy. It was more like pride. It was more like ego. This is a past life connection to help again both of you release family patterns, which have caused the spiritual blockages, which are playing out as, obviously imbalances within this connection. So it's, even though it's a difficult connection, what you see here is that it's an important connection, even if you wind up not being with this person, because it's making this person change. And understand it would also have to make you change. A lot of healings done in separation. We know this. I've said this before. Another twin flame, readings. And the reason why is because, you know, you wouldn't be able to heal with the person right there. Part of your healing is to embody a whole new life. You can't change, with someone right there because they'd have expectations and then you'd feel obligated. So it's not about that. It's about both parties work to be the best version of themselves in separation. And when they have reached, the divine essence of who they're supposed to be, that's when the twin flame comes together. And that's in divine time. And the spirit says it depends on how much work the two do in separation, how long it takes them to figure things out. Understand that unconditional love is the connection. It's a spiritual connection. It can never be broken. It's past life connection. So we have to say again, I don't know why that was out, why this person came into your life. What do they represent? Your healing. And when we look, we see, look, rage, resilience, rebellious, naive, trauma. Two, three, four, five, and one more. Dance. And one more. Let's pull another one. Guidance. All right. So spirit's saying, like, listen, you attracted this person into your life because, listen, there was trauma, but there was what jumped out at me the most is rage. Growing up with a parent that's rageful, then the way that you learned how to deal with stress was also to be rageful. Also, when we judge ourselves for our unfoldment process or judge ourselves for what we perceive as, inadequacies within ourselves, like beating, it's like this is an energy almost of beating ourselves up. And so growing up with a parent that did that to you and then, but they also did it to themselves. And then you adapting to that same behavior, which is, being rageful, being angry, like seeing the world again through more of a negative, like perception based on the environment that you grew up in. Now, I feel like you got to a place after a while that you were like, it wasn't working for you. So you did get rebellious, or seen as rebellious, but it wasn't rebellious. It's just in order to survive, you couldn't mold to that environment. But, you know, understand when you don't go along with the imbalance, then you are the problem. You're not the solution even though you're going to be rebellious and try to be the solution. No, you're pointing out the problems and when people don't want to change. And that's kind of what happened. So you had to have your own, like, be your own guidance. You had a very strong intuition. However, like I said, it created a lot of trauma. And the way that you saw people, you weren't, didn't see them negatively in spite of having that type of parent, but you were more naive. You believed, you treated them the way you wanted to be treated. You thought people treated you the way that, you treat them. That's not happened. That's a naive way of thinking. So, and it was because it affected your second chakra. Dance is, to me, is all about that second chakra, being able to go with the flow of life, being in the passion for life, being able to be grounded enough. Dancing is one of the most grounding things that we can do. So but it symbolizes more of the first and second chakra together. Again, remember the hips allow us to have flexibility. We can go with the flow of life. Well, when you grew up in an environment with a parent that was really rageful, that made you nervous and fearful all the time, well, you're not going to be able to go with the flow. And then when you finally got to a point where you're like, I can't take it anymore, be living like this, and decided to kind of take control of your life, well, then it's still like you overcompensated. So your second chakra imbalance happens when we haven't been allowed to have our unique unfoldment process. So it's not rushing or not doing anything at all. It's all about becoming ourself, where, needed to survive and fight to become yourself. And so Spirit's saying, I want you to be able to go more with the passion for life, which is that second chakra, which is our birthing center. We can go with the flow of life when we're in the passion for life, not when we're aggravated because somebody has tried to suppress us. Our boundaries have been crossed. The Spirit says it was the way that you were raised, the way that you were conditioned. And this person also didn't hold to boundaries, but you attracted this person into your life because, hey, there was a connection. However, getting connected to them, they triggered all your wounds so that you'd bring out a lot of rage, obviously, and the trauma of abandonment. And Spirit says where you really had to trust your own intuition, which is exactly what you did. You went with the flow of what was happening which is least resistant, which is what you should do. That doesn't mean participate. What it means is that you let the situation play out and then you were like, okay, this doesn't work for me. Goodbye. You called their bluff. And so you went along with whatever they gave, but this is why you have a clear conscience and this person does not, because they played a lot of games where there was a connection the whole time. Just, they didn't want to emotionally give to you because of their living arrangements and the way that they live, pretty much. They think that you're not going to really like them once you see one, two, three, 4, 5, 6. So we look and see how we're going to transmute that negative energy. The spirit says, well, you're going to move into uncharted waters. It's evoke your curiosity, discover new aspects about yourself and the world around you. Venture in with confidence. This was about transformation, turning your strengths, turning your fears into strengths so that you can step into your true power. And alchemist. So that this is a twin flame connection because again, the relationship's really helping you to change and this person to change, so that you can go on your soul's calling, to listen to the whispers of your soul. You're guiding your actions with your values. And Spirit says it's all about navigating through difficulties, being able to go with the flow of life by being in the passion for life. This is how you're at peace with yourself, regardless of who is angry and who does what. So this is pretty much saying you grew up with someone that was rageful and angry all the time, and it influenced the way that you did things. So you felt like that person, like, because they were the way that they were, it made it difficult for you to, like, be able to navigate your life. And Spirit says it's never about changing someone else. You wanted to change that person that was rageful. Because as a child, if the person's continually making us scared and just in an uncomfortable energy, you want them to go away. But Spirit says, and you couldn't do that. So now it's about you learning how to deal with the difficult energies and realizing that nothing has power over you. Nothing can stop you. No one can interfere while you're on your path. Only you can. And so Spirit's saying, and once you transform that energy, well, then you can flow with grace because it's all about you already having peace of mind. Now take a leap of faith, take a bold action, even if the path is not visible, because risks are rewarding. And you're gonna, meet new people and it's gonna open up to new ventures and new avenues that you didn't even know really could exist for you. And don't worry about this person because this person needs to do their healing. They want to figure it out. That's where they are. They're like, well, they're still like insecure. They want to work on themselves. And so Spirit's saying it's like they want to be the best version of themselves so that they have the best chance that you'll say yes. You might say, well, they're wasting a lot of time. And the Spirit says, everything's in divine time. It doesn't mean that you can't date right now. It doesn't mean you can't go out. Spirit says you're supposed to be living. This way, when the person comes back, they have to put the effort in. It was not about you being on like stopping your life. It's to go with the flow of your life. Even though this person has feelings, even though you have feelings, you can't control them. They have to again come to the realization themselves. And you can't be emotionally affected by it because it'll affect your path. Spirit says, turn that rage and that pain, because again, obviously it's triggering that, the abandonment, it's how you grew up, and turn it into fire. It's there to help you transform, alchemize the energy. You're the alchemist of your life. Now you may say, I don't really see this process happening like this. And Spirit says a lot happens in separation and you're detached from some of it. And this person is too, because it's very emotional. You're being triggered by a lot of stuff. But Spirit's saying, you're not supposed to be with this person right now. You're supposed to go out and live. No one's telling you to put your life on hold. But if it's a divine connection, this person will come back and they'll come back and they'll fight for the connection and they'll be in the right energy. But it's not because you sat there and waited, it's because you lived. It's because they felt you pulling away, that a new life was opening. And that's what you need to do. Because Spirit says, don't let anyone, like, it doesn't matter who they are. Don't stop your life. It'll feel like, oh, maybe it's the right thing. Spirit says, never stop your life. You won't be appreciated. Person has to work for it. Even if they had access before, they have to like come back and put effort in. Otherwise, they're just going to treat you like, oh, well, I could figure it out. And you wouldn't like that over time. Spirit says, release, control. Stop fighting your fears and the hardships of life. Control your thoughts, live in the present moment, and accept each stage of life. Work on what you have the power over and put in God's hands what you cannot change and trust that everything will work out for the best. So Spirit's saying it's like that's what the twin flame connection really teaches us. To release control. Because the second chakra is all about control, not being able to go with the flow. Because again, somewhere along the line, somebody in our environments was so toxic that we became hyper vigilant to the environment. And Spirit says, no, this is about you being true to yourself. That person will catch up. You're learning what unconditional love is through the actual act where you're seeing what it looks like. And what it looks like is not all pretty all the time. Sometimes it's messy and it's hard and it's annoying and it's triggering. And that's why they say it makes you crazy. I'm going to leave that there, Scorpio. Happy Halloween. I love you guys. I will be on tomorrow to do a live because tonight's Halloween. All right. I love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, and coaching will be tomorrow. Did I say tomorrow or is it today? If I said today, it will be tomorrow because again, I forgot that today was Halloween. Even though I knew it was Halloween, I just not grounded enough. I love you guys. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.